The Catholic world watched with bated breath. White smoke billowed from the chimney atop the Sistine Chapel. A new pope had been chosen. The year was 2013. The new pontiff was Jorge Mario Bergoglio of Argentina, the first pope from the Americas. He chose the name Francis, a humble tribute to Saint Francis of Assisi, the champion of the poor and the patron saint of peace. Pope Francis's election marked a new era for the Catholic Church. He was a man of deep faith, shaped by his experiences in his native Argentina. He had witnessed poverty and injustice firsthand. He brought this lived experience to the papacy, advocating for the marginalized and challenging the powerful. His warmth and humility resonated with people around the world. He broke down barriers, reaching out to those who felt excluded. Pope Francis called for a church that was a poor church for the poor. He challenged Catholics to embrace simplicity, compassion, and a preferential option for those in need. Pope Francis captured the world's attention with his simple yet powerful gestures. He shunned the opulent papal apartments, choosing to live in a modest guest house. He often cooked his own meals and rode in a simple Fiat, rejecting the luxurious papal limousines. He embraced the crowds, often stopping to bless children and the sick. His gentle touch and warm smile spoke volumes about his love for the people he served. Francis believed in a church that walked with the people, accompanying them on their life journeys. He urged priests and bishops to be shepherds who knew the smell of their sheep. He called on them to leave their comfort zones and go out to the peripheries, to the places where people were hurting and searching for meaning. Throughout his papacy, Pope Francis was a tireless advocate for the poor, the marginalized, and the forgotten. He spoke out against economic inequality, calling for a more just and equitable world. He challenged global leaders to address the climate crisis, urging them to protect our common home. He showed particular concern for migrants and refugees. He visited refugee camps, washed the feet of migrants, and called on nations to open their hearts and borders to those fleeing violence and persecution. He saw the face of Christ in the suffering of the poor and the marginalized. His papacy was marked by a deep commitment to social justice. He called on Catholics to be instruments of peace and reconciliation in a world torn apart by conflict. He urged dialogue and understanding between different cultures and religions. Pope Francis understood that the Church needed to confront its own failings. He knew that the sexual abuse crisis had shaken the faith of many. He pledged to address this issue with transparency and accountability. He established the Pontifical Commission for the Protection of Minors, tasked with advising the Pope on safeguarding policies. He issued new guidelines for dealing with abuse cases, emphasizing the importance of listening to victims and holding perpetrators accountable. He also sought to reform the Vatican bureaucracy, often seen as resistant to change. He streamlined Vatican finances, increasing transparency and accountability. He appointed more women to leadership positions, recognizing the vital role they play in the Church. Section 5. The World Mourns, a global outpouring of grief. News of Pope Francis's passing on April 23, 2025 sent shockwaves around the world. The beloved pontiff, 88, died peacefully in his sleep after a long illness. Tributes poured in from world leaders, religious figures, and ordinary people whose lives he had touched. Flags flew at half-mast in cities around the world. Millions flocked to churches and cathedrals to pray for his soul. Social media was flooded with messages of condolences and memories of his inspiring leadership. His death was felt not just by Catholics but by people of all faiths and none. He had been a beacon of hope in a world often shrouded in darkness. His message of love, compassion, and hope transcended religious boundaries. He was a true shepherd, a man of God who lived what he preached. Section 6. A final farewell, breaking with tradition in burial. In death, as in life, Pope Francis broke with tradition. He had requested a simple burial, eschewing the grandeur often associated with papal funerals. He wished to be laid to rest not in the papal tombs beneath St. Peter's Basilica, but in the Basilica of St. Mary Major. This basilica, one of the 4 major basilicas in Rome, holds a special place in the Catholic tradition. It houses a venerated icon of Mary, the Mother of God, believed to have been painted by St. Luke the Evangelist. Francis, a man of deep Marian devotion, felt a special connection to this sacred space. His choice of burial site reflects his humility and his desire to be close to the people. St. Mary Major, located in the heart of Rome, is a place of pilgrimage for people from all walks of life. It is a fitting resting place for a pope who dedicated his life to serving the poor and the marginalized. Section 7. A legacy of compassion. Francis's enduring impact. Pope Francis leaves behind a legacy of compassion, humility, and unwavering commitment to social justice. He challenged the Church to rediscover its roots as a church of the poor and for the poor. He reminded us that true joy is found in serving others. His impact extends far beyond the walls of the Vatican. He was a moral compass for a world grappling with complex challenges. He spoke truth to power, challenging leaders to address climate change, economic inequality, and the plight of migrants and refugees. His papacy was a call to action, a reminder that we are all called to be instruments of peace and reconciliation. He taught us that true leadership is about service, about putting the needs of others before our own. Section 8. The future of the Church, navigating a complex world. Pope Francis's passing leaves a void in the Catholic Church and in the world. The Church now faces the task of choosing a successor who can build on his legacy and guide the faithful in a rapidly changing world. The next pope will inherit a church facing many challenges: the ongoing sexual abuse crisis, the rise of secularism, the growing divide between rich and poor, and the urgent need for environmental action. The new pontiff will need to be a pastor, a prophet, and a diplomat, able to navigate complex theological and geopolitical issues. The world watches and prays as the cardinals prepare to enter the conclave. May the Holy Spirit guide them in choosing a shepherd after the heart of Christ, a leader who can continue the work of Pope Francis in building a more just and compassionate world. Section 9. A guiding light. Pope Francis's place in history. Pope Francis will be remembered as a transformative figure in the history of the Catholic Church. He was a reformer, a bridge builder, and a voice for the voiceless. He challenged us to live out our faith with greater humility, compassion, and courage. His legacy will continue to inspire generations to come. His words and actions will serve as a guiding light, reminding us that we are all called to build a world where every human life is cherished and protected. His name will forever be etched in the annals of history as a champion of the poor, a defender of the marginalized, and a beacon of hope for a world in need of healing.